Okay, here's a really old Saab 900. It's a 90, it's a non-turbo. You can ignore that it says turbo on the hood. It's definitely a non-turbo. It has a ton of miles. I thought it had 243,000 miles, but yesterday while driving home, I noticed that the odometer had stopped momentarily for about 3 miles. And then started again. So probably it has a lot more than 243,000 miles on it. The problem that I'm having is getting the idle down to a reasonable speed. Kind of running out of things to check. I've been through a lot of tests, a lot of part swapping. Some things are difficult because it's old and there really aren't a lot of prescribed tests. So had a stroke of genius. Here's what I did. Well, I think it's a stroke of genius. LH 2.4 in these cars is basically the same between turbo and non. The only real functional difference is the ECM and the injectors. So what I did is I replaced a 580 non-turbo ECM, which is here on the left, with a 948 turbo ECM. And the difference is that the non-turbo 580 is from a 1990, which means it doesn't really have a lot of diagnostics in it. The 948, however, is from a 92 or 93 turbo. And you can actually connect to that thing with Tech 2, which makes this incredibly helpful. So I have the diagnostic connector plugged in, I have the ECUs swapped, and what I'm going to do is this. Fire up my Tech 2. In order to use Tech 2 on on an old 900, you need the 44 bin, which should show up here in a sec. Someday. There we go. So you can see it's version 44. That's the key to make it work on this car. So I'm going to go to enter. Hope this stays in focus. I'm going to go to diagnostics. I'm going to tell it is a 1993. I'm going to tell it that it is a 900. I'm going to go to the engine, go to LH Jetronic. I'm going to go down to activate. Wait till it establishes comms, which hopefully happens quickly. And it is not going to work. So, quick key to that is good fun, which is turn the key off for a second, turn it back on. That usually brings it back to life. Oh, there we go. It already figured itself out. God, it's really having a hard time staying in focus because of the sun. I really apologize. There we go, that's better. So I'm gonna hit the activate here on the left. I'm gonna go to AIC valve, and what I've got here is a random spare idle valve. This is kind of where I ended up. Plug that guy in, turn it so I can see it. You can watch the valve. If I come over here and I choose AIC valve, and I hit on and off, absolutely nothing is happening. It is doing positively nothing. So there's a good chance this idle valve is bad. So I'm going to unplug it, set it aside, grab a different idle valve. Old cars mean lots of spare parts, I guess. Oops, let's see if I can do this one-handed. There we go. What do you know? Tech 2 is telling the idle valve to open and close. It's really quite loud. I hope you can hear that on the video. So I'm going to unplug this guy, plug it back into the idle valve that's on the car, and nothing. So this idle valve is bad. It is very possible it is stuck in a too open position and it's just sitting there doing absolutely nothing, and that is the source of my problems all along. I assume because it generally idled right, it passed the coil test, the 12 volts caused it to briefly open and close, that everything was fine, but it's clearly not responding to the exact right signal that Jetronic sends. So I'm going to swap that out. Hopefully I have a solution.